Hello everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Destiny video. Today Fantasy Flight revealed a few more spoilers for Convergence. A lot of these spoilers have to do with downgrades and bounties. We also got a couple more characters as well. So first up here we have Asajj Ventress, Swift and Cunning, 12 health, 13 or 16 points. One melee damage, 2 melee damage, 3 melee damage for a resource, discard resource and blank. She's a bounty hunter, so cards that affect bounty hunters will work with her. After a character that has a downgrade on it takes damage from this die, you may discard a card from your hand to remove one of that character's character or upgrade dice. So you're doing damage, you're removing dice. Health is good. So I remember the original Asajj had a cool mechanic and a cool ability. It just wasn't a particularly great card or die. It was probably overcosted at the time for like it's what the die and card gave you. So here we have a 13 or 16, so you can still pair her with another 14-point character. All melee damage. We do have the one resource costed side. I like her ability, so you're going to play downgrades on your opponent's characters, downgrades and bounties, or downgrades I believe are bounties, and there's other ones as well we'll get to later in the video. But if a character with one of those takes damage from her dice, you have the option to discard a card and remove a die. That could be really good, especially if you're removing something that could potentially win them the game, like removing a really powerful special or a really powerful melee side or something like that, or just a high damage side as well. That could be good. However, it does only work on character or upgrade dice, so you're not going to be able to use it on supports or things like that. But I still think that's a pretty cool ability. So that is Asajj Ventress. We're going to move into our next card. And next up, we have Mind Extraction. It's a blue villain downgrade, 2 resources. Attached character loses all its non-special abilities. As an action, exhaust the attached character to discard this downgrade. Only attached character's controller can use this action. Really cool ability, really cool here. So two resources. You play this on your opponent's character. Any ability on that card that isn't tied to a special on their dice is completely, basically gone. Like you put this on Palpatine, on the new Palpatine, they're not going to be able to have an unlimited number of abilities on him. They're not going to get +1 health for abilities that are on him. And if you do this when he's got a bunch of abilities on him, I believe your opponent is then going to immediately have to discard any abilities that are going to be over the upgrade limit of 3. So it gets rid of that ability. It gets rid of stuff like Guardian. So if you play it on a character that has Guardian, they won't be able to use Guardian anymore. Any other abilities this will also affect, which is really cool. And then as an action, they can exhaust the character to get rid of the downgrade. Really interesting with that because then it does get rid of the downgrade. They get their abilities back. They're not related to their specials, but then it puts them one turn behind because instead of potentially rolling that character out or using their abilities, they're taking their turn to discard Mind Extraction. So, really cool downgrade. But really interested to see how downgrades and bounties, will affect the game. So, blue villain downgrade here. Super interesting that you can basically just blank out a character card almost entirely, depending on what is on their card, as long as their ability isn't tied to a special. So that is Mind Extraction. We're going to move into our next card. And next up, we have Dengar, Ruthless Tracker, 10 health, 11 or 14 points, a bounty hunter character. 1 range damage, 2 range damage, 1 melee damage, disrupt, resource, and blank. And after you activate this character, you may deal 1 damage to a character that has a bounty on it. So play a bounty on a character, roll in Dengar, they take 1 damage automatically from him just rolling in. And then after he rolls in, your opponent goes, you get to then potentially resolve damage or disrupt their resources. Really interesting ability here because as long as you can play a downgrade on your opponent or a bounty specifically, you'll be able to do that 1 damage and it won't be able to be mitigated unless they somehow get rid of the downgrade or the bounty. But cool thing here, so let's say you only need to do 1 more damage to win the game. Let's say your opponents have already claimed, you haven't rolled Dengar yet. Let's say, or like for example, you just need to do 1 more damage, play a bounty on them, then roll in Dengar, do that automatic damage from his ability, and potentially win the game. Sides are decent, so we have 3 damage sides, no resource cost or modifiers on the sides. One of them being a 2, which is good. 10 health, kind of low, but really interesting ability to kind of make up for that to ping 1 automatic damage. So that is Dengar. We're going to move into our next card. And next up, we have Enticing Reward. 1 resource, it's a downgrade bounty, yellow villain. After the attached character is defeated, you may play an equipment or weapon from your hand or discard pile for free. So, let's say you play this on a character, you defeat that character, you can then get out an expensive weapon on one of your characters for free. So let's say, I think in the article from Fantasy Flight, they use the Darksaber for an example. So you basically play this on a character, defeat them eventually, then play Darksaber on one of your characters for free. Or any other like of the major lightsabers. So if you're playing blue, yellow, you might be able to throw out like a Maul's lightsaber for free and things like that. So interesting bounty is that so you can basically it will take time to get off because you need to defeat the character first, but you can defeat that character and then play this weapon. I mean, I imagine this might even go well in something like Greedo Vader, because this is a downgrade. That doesn't. I don't know if downgrades have to be played on opponents. Because after the attached character is defeated, you may play when equipment or weapons from your hand or discard are free. So let's say you throw this on Greedo. You use something like Price of Failure, even though Price of Failure will rotate when this comes out. Something that defeats Greedo, he'll be able to use his ability to roll in, and then you'll be able to play an equipment or weapon on Vader. That could be really interesting. Again, I'm not particularly clear if bounties can only be played on your opponents. That kind of changes things if it can. So, play this on an opponent, kill them, get a weapon or upgrade. So that is Enticing Reward. We're going to move into our next card. And next up, we have Punishing One. Yellow Villain, 2 resources. 1 range damage, 2 range damage, 2 indirect damage. Disrupt resource blank. It's support vehicle. After an opponent's character that has a bounty on it is defeated, you may ready the support. If you spot Dengar, you may activate the support. So, put a bounty on a character, defeat that character. Then, if let's say you rolled out, you resolve. Let's say you roll out and just defeat a character with Punishing One. If they have a bounty on them, you then get to ready Punishing One, and then if you're playing with Dengar, you can ready it and roll it back out. So potentially in one turn, you can get a couple activations out of Punishing One. Again, so not damage sides aren't great, but only 2 resources isn't too bad. So you got your 3 damage sides, you got your 1, your 2, and your 2, and an ability to potentially roll it out multiple times. So that is Punishing One. We're going to move into our next card. And next up, we have Dengar's Fireblade, yellow villain upgrade, 3 resources, weapon upgrade, I'd say. 2 melee damage plus 4 melee damage, 2 disrupt, 2 shields, resource, and blank. And after you play this upgrade, you may deal 1 damage to a character that has a bounty on it. So again, it kind of skirts dice mitigation. If you only need to do 1 more damage to a character to defeat them, you can basically just play this and do 1 automatic damage. And then as a power action, if this upgrade is on Dengar, turn 1 of his character dice to his side, showing a value of 1. So he's got, I believe, the 1 damage and the melee damage as well are both 1s. So if you have this on him, you can basically power action it to focus 1 of Dengar's dice to his side, showing a value of 1. 3 resources. I'm not sure if I like the cost of it, because there's only 2 damage sides, with 1 of them being modified. So we have the 2 and the plus 4. The 2 disrupt, 2 shields is nice as well. So I guess maybe it's balanced as far as its price. I wish it just had maybe 1 more damage side. But so again, 2 disrupt and then 2 shields, can also get a resource. And whenever you play it, you do automatically 1 damage as well. So that is Dengar's Fireblade. We're going to move into our next card. And next up, we have Secret's Laid Bare, 0 cost, neutral blue downgrade intel. After the attached character is activated, reveal 3 random cards from its controller's hand. So play this on a character. Once they roll in and activate, you're able to pick out 3 cards from their hand at random and look at them. So then you kind of have an idea of what is coming up next and what they have. Pretty interesting, because you're going to be able to kind of be potentially 1 step ahead if you know that they have these 2 events and this upgrade in their hand. And then obviously if they only have, let's say, cards in hand, you're able to see their entire hand and basically plan your turn around what they have in their hand. So that's a pretty cool downgrade. So that is Secrets Laid Bare. We're going to move into our next card. And next up, we have Hampered, neutral red downgrade injury. So no more than one of the attached character's character dice can be resolved during each turn, and those dice cannot be modified. So play without a character. Let's say they roll out a 2 range and a +2 range. They can only resolve one of those dice. They can only resolve the base 2 range, and they won't be able to modify it. Or let's say they roll out let's say they have a weapon on them, they roll out 3 dice total. Let's say they roll a 1 range, a 2 range, and a +2 range. On that turn, they would only be able to get to resolve one of the 2 base damage dice. On their next turn, they would still only get to resolve one of the base damage dice, and the modifier would basically be you would be unable to resolve that until you somehow get rid of this downgrade. So that is Hampered. I think it's pretty interesting. It's definitely going to slow down a lot of the more aggro damage decks that roll out multiple damage or multiple dice showing the same damage symbol and then resolving a lot of them all at once and do a ton of damage. This will basically allow them to only resolve one character damage die per turn. Upgrade dice looks like they can just resolve normally. So if I roll in with a weapon, I can resolve my character plus my weapon dice. However, the base damage dice for my characters cannot be modified. So that is Hampered. We're going to move into our next card. And next up, we have Unshackle. 1 resources. It's an event, a neutral gray event. Has an ambush. Discard a downgrade from play. So if somebody's played a downgrade on your character, let's say they played Hampered, like we were just talking about on your character, you can pay a resource, get rid of the downgrade, and then take an additional action. So let's say you rolled out a bunch of damage, and you have Hampered on you. You can basically pay 1 resource, play Hampered, get rid of the play Unshackle, get rid of the downgrade, and then resolve your dice like normal without that downgrade being in play. So 1 resource basically just to get rid of a downgrade. So they're going to have ways to get downgrades and bounties on characters. It looks like now we're also going to have events that will get rid of them, and then characters and other upgrades that will do more if a character has a bounty or downgrade on them. So that's Unshackle. We're going to move into our last card. And last up, we have a partially spoiled Quarren tracker. Imagine this will be yellow villain, non-unique, 8 health. No idea what the points would be. Maybe 10. Maybe probably. I don't imagine it being more than 10, but maybe 10 or 11. Who knows? And it looks like it has a special. I imagine this is a special. So deal 2 damage to a character, or deal 3 damage to a character that has a bounty on it. So again, like I was just saying, this set having cards that will do a little bit more if there is a bounty on a character. So this one does 2 damage, but if they have a bounty on them, it will do 3. Again, we don't know what the point value of this is going to be, and I'm imagining this is going to either be probably yellow villain, maybe neutral. I'm not really sure. And then we have no idea what the sides are, aside from looks like we have a 1 range and a 1 disrupt. And it looks like on the top of it is a special, so I believe this is a special ability on its card, and then a disrupt and at least a 1 range damage side. But that's kind of all we know for now. So that is the Quarren tracker, or at least what we have of it. That's going to do it for this video. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We'll be back again with more Star Wars Destiny spoilers for Convergence when they become available. Again, that's going to do it for now, and I want to thank you for watching, and take care.